Welcome back. The Senate nearing a deal on extending a tax credit for home buyers. Leaders from both parties expressing support for the measure. Under the deal, first-time buyers would still get a credit of $8,000. There would also be a separate $6,500 credit for a repeat buyer that would have some income limits. We got plenty of mixed signals on whether or not the housing sector is recovering. Joining us now, Case Shiller co-founder and Yale economics professor Robert Shiller. He's also the chief economist at Macro Markets. Professor, it's good to see you this morning. And you figure that maybe have we come in the rebound with housing prices? Is it ahead of itself? Is that your point, that we may be reinflating a little bit here?
Well, this is the sharpest turnaround we've ever seen in home prices. Remarkable. It just, I call it a fish hook. It was going down, suddenly it's going up. Never seen it before. It must have something to do with the first-time home buyer tax credit or the general atmosphere that generated. And the real question is whether it's stable, whether this will continue.
We've got two concerns, Professor. Was cash for clunkers. Do we attribute all the auto sales to that and all the rebound in consumer spending to that? And do we attribute all the rebound in housing to the tax credit? Is it all the government here? And that's why people are worried about 2010.
No, it's not all the government. First of all, it's not just the U.S. We're seeing rebounds in home prices in the U.K., Australia, Hong Kong. It's also not just the housing market. As you know, we've seen a huge rebound in the stock market over roughly the same interval since March or April. And I think it has something to do with a change in our level of confidence, our animal spirits.
That's what I wanted to get you to.
Is that an argument, though, that Congress and the White House should not be moving to extend this tax credit? If it's coming back anyway and it's not necessarily tied to that, should they not be considering handing out more money?
Well, I mean, this kind of policy has to come to an end. It doesn't, the government trying to prop up the housing market, it gives me a funny feeling. I can see their reasoning for doing it. I wish they had devoted more energy to helping people who are in distress. The foreclosures are continuing. And that strikes me as a real visceral problem that's harming our confidence.
Robert, there have been some figures out there that are pretty skeptical when they take a look at to what degree they drove buyers into the market, that most of the time that $8,000 went to people who were going to buy a house anyway. Is that true?
Well, but it increases their budget. I mean,
by $8,000?
I know, it's not that big a deal. I think that it's a whole picture. It's everything that's been happening. I think you might say it's the Obama charisma. That's just as good an explanation as the tax credit. The idea, the whole market, the whole situation turned around this spring. Maybe it's the G20 meetings, where we had an inspirational international cohesiveness that suddenly appeared. It's a matter of the whole market psychology, which goes beyond the housing market.
The Norwegians, they had something there then. Maybe if you can bet on hope, maybe it works. In the past, Professor, I thought you spoke positively about animal spirits. You like it when we get the animal spirits going. And it seems like in what I was reading today was that you're worried that all we have are animal spirits.
Well, that's all we usually have. That's the funny thing. Human psychology is such an important driver of the economy that, and we can't really manage it very well. So, bubbles and busts are not necessarily the worst thing, as long as they're part of an economy that's basically stable. We need to, we don't need to even these things out completely. We want to prevent a catastrophe, and so far it looks like we've done that.
I mean, the fundamentals can catch up with the animal spirit. It can be self-fulfilling, can it? You feel better, you spend more. It just seems like even if the animal spirits come first, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because everything, it can sort of spawn. Yeah. It can spawn what you're hoping for fundamentally.
I think we need a revolution in macroeconomic theory. Animal spirits drive everything. The fundamental, what are the fundamentals? I mean, it comes down to technology, I suppose. But technology tends to change gradually, smoothly. So what oscillates in the economy? And it's something about confidence. There's something about our general perceptions. And those have really changed. It's really a record time that we're living in. But it may be unstable.
It's the Internet.
The Internet is actually speeding everything up. We're living in a new world. And it may be more surprises in coming years that may have the form of market volatility.
Yeah. All right. So at this point, I'm trying to read between the lines here. That was mixed data yesterday on housing. But let's just say that we have had a recovery globally in some of these areas, both equities and housing. Maybe it's due to animal spirits, but we'll take it. Is that summarizing how you feel at this point?
We'll certainly take it. Recessions have traditionally come to an end within, 1 or 2 years. And, it's about time this recession comes to an end. Unfortunately, we have disrupted our normal means of doing business. We're in an abnormal economy. So there is a real worry that we're going to have trouble going forward. So it's a recovery, and it's a volatile one.
Maybe it's good that we're still worried, though, because we know how it works. If we felt too good about everything, then I don't know.
That's where we were, yes.
Yeah.
We don't want to get back to 2005. We were over-exuberant.
All right. Very good. Thank you. We've got a lot more than just the housing market in there. That felt like
Bob can talk anything.
Felt like kind of like Freakonomics or something. Anyway, maybe you ought to do that. And I feel a Nobel Prize with something like that, an animal spirits treatise or something, Professor.
Well, I've written a book on that, yeah.
All right. Good. Thank you.
Okay.